More rallies today in Egypt for and against President Mohamed Morsi. Tens of thousands of supporters of President Morsi took to the streets, rallying support for their leader and the new constitution. And opponents are in Tahrir Square. NBC's Jim Mercedes is in Cairo for us with the very latest from there. So, Jim, with a good evening your time, have there been any clashes between the two sides today?
Very few. There were some clashes in Alexandria, Alex, between pro and anti-Morsi groups, but because the security forces anticipated that, because there were a lot of clashes yesterday up in the north there, it was pretty minimal. This was a crucial day, as you know, for President Morsi and his Muslim Brotherhood supporters. They needed a big turnout, a huge crowd at that rally to kind of stem the momentum of the opposition, which we've seen now draw hundreds of thousands of secular, moderate, leftist, liberal Egyptians filling that Tahrir Square on a couple of occasions this past week. But today belonged to Morsi supporters, really. That show of support was big, at least the tens of thousands, if not 100,000, outside Cairo University. And it really had more of a feel of a political rally with people waving flags, carrying banners, chanting slogans. Again, there were some clashes, but it was overall a peaceful day. The Muslim Brotherhood is much more focused on politics than on protests. Now, it wants to ratify that new draft constitution as quickly as possible. Of course, the opposition says it's invalid because it was rushed through a committee. It's biased, says the opposition, towards Islamists. Morsi, receives a draft, or just received a draft, in fact, minutes ago, of that draft of the Constitution in a ceremony this evening, and in the days ahead, he's likely to announce a nationwide referendum as early as mid-December. Alex?
So with all of this seemingly, a fait accompli, what does the opposition do now, Jim?
Well, the opposition, which has never been a united force, keep that in mind, they've now kind of created a format, a group called the National Salvation Front. They say they plan more massive protests, a general strike next week. Even some are talking about a march on the presidential palace, and some protesters tell us that they will topple Morsi if they do that. That's very unlikely. The opposition leader, like Nobel Peace Prize laureate Mohammed al-Baradei, says that they want strictly peaceful civil disobedience. But it's really stuck between a rock and a hard place. If the opposition comes out and boycotts the referendum, then it risks being left out. And if it organizes a no vote and loses, it'll be severely weakened. But even if the opposition wins and Egyptians reject this draft constitution, Morsi can simply start the process all over again and stay in power for another 5 or 6 months. So the bottom line is that Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood are holding most of the cards here.
Jim Mercedes, thank you very much from Cairo.